Hello everyone. I have never really made a video before, but there's an issue that I have been contemplating for the past few weeks. Just a little background. I have been a nurse in the United States for several years up to this point. And I recently got accepted into medical school. I was very pumped by the time when I first got in, but now I'm wondering if this is a correct path for me. I'm currently 27 years old, and a lot of fellow nurses do go to the nurse practitioner school, the CRNA school. Compared to the medical school route, that is indeed a much faster and a much easier way if you choose to go down to one of those master's or doctorate programs. And one of the reasons why I chose to go to medical school instead of one of those easier pathways is because I feel, um, just to be honest, a lot of nurses are not being respected by the hospitals. It's not a lot of nurses don't respect each other, and I feel like, especially as a male, a lot of times uh, you're just influenced so much by the inferiority complex that are possessed by the other nurses. And I feel like I could achieve more, and I probably have a bigger ego than I would say the average nurse. I don't think I have a very abnormally big ego compared to the rest of the population, just to be honest. But it is something that I did not like very much about being a nurse, and I decided to choose to go down to the medical school route. And of course, there are other reasons too. That includes I actually would like to learn more. I would like to learn more about science and medical science, not only medical science, but any kind of science that they actually interest me. I would also like to be called a doctor just because you would be apparently respected more by the general society. Your family members and your friends would value you, would view you with more value in certain ways. Um, and I do care about their opinions sometimes, I would say. But just as I am about to start medical school this fall, I suddenly have a second thought about it. I knew, as I have always known, that medical school takes a very long time. It's 4 years of medical school after college, and it's probably, since I like radiology personally, it's going to be 5 years of residency after I graduate from medical school, and that is about a total of 9 years from today. Given that I make through everything perfectly fine. Chances are, if I do decide to go, I would probably be able to graduate without a problem, just to have an honest assessment on that issue. But my concern is I would be over the age of 30 by the time when I'm done, become the attending doctor. And I feel that it is indeed an issue because the medical school training and the residency training takes a lot of your personal time. Uh, on one side of me, I would like to spend more time with my family and my future children. I would like to see them more often. I would hate to be a resident in the hospital spending 80 hours a week and never spend time to see my children. You know, you could have a very understanding significant other, but it's when it comes to your children, it's it's just I feel like there's just an obligation that you have to be there for them at least sometimes. And the other part of me feels like I could achieve a lot in my career. Uh, I feel like medical school is a special type of career that requires a special kind of dedication. And yes, I'm not saying that if you're a doctor, you absolutely cannot have a happy family. I'm not saying that. I know that there are doctors they do have a happy family, and there are even doctors married to doctors, and They still have children, and I don't know how they manage that, just to be honest. But personally, just to be honest, medical school training and residency training, they do take a very big part of your time. Um, so I don't know if that is the correct option. And I think part of the question comes down to, um, am I wanting to be a doctor so much? Is it worth me sacrificing years of my life and hard work and the potential family time that I will enjoy with other people in order to become a doctor? Um, I would say, do I want to be called a doctor? Yes, very badly. I think if I'm a medical doctor, I would very much like to be viewed as a doctor. But just to be honest, do I like what they do? Do I like the job itself? I would say probably not. I have been a nurse for a long time, and I personally feel that there are many broken parts of the healthcare system. I worked in the ER for the vast majority of my career, and there are so many healthcare abusers that come into the ER for nothing. They're rude to you. They're here basically to waste taxpayers' money, and they could potentially get it from somewhere else. They don't work themselves, and they come in with a very disrespectful manner towards the healthcare professionals. And it's not only to nurses, it's to doctors as well. It's not just to doctors, it's to anybody. And that's just how they are. I mean, there's nothing you could do to change that. So I'm wondering, am I willing to sacrifice, arguably, the majority of my own life in order to save and help those people? Probably not. Don't get me wrong, but there are apparently people who do need to come into the ER, and there are a lot of many intelligent people and very nice people, and that's true. But I would say, um, just in general, am I willing to really sacrifice so much of my life in order to help some other people's lives? Just to be honest, probably not. I realize there's an upside and there's a downside to every career that you choose. I have asked many doctors if they like their job. I would say most of them said yes, and most of them have encouraged me to continue with the medical school route. They, they, some of them genuinely like to help their patients, and they like to see their patients. And some other doctors talk to me about it in more of a financial approach, saying, if I'm a neurosurgeon, I make so much money a year in the end. To me, it's really not about money. I don't honestly feel like the need to make more money than what I am making right now as a nurse. I feel it's solely for the spiritual need of myself of wanting to know more. But if I simply want to know more, I could potentially go to get a PhD or even a MP or CRNA or some other PhD in a field of study that I personally like. And all those kind of programs, they don't require the amount of dedication that is required by medical schools. And by no means I have a sexual bias against women, but as a as a general matter of fact, the medical school route is even more difficult when you're a woman. That is simply because when you're a guy, you become a medical doctor, you make a lot of money, you can attract a lot of women, but it doesn't work the same way the other way around. When a woman becomes very successful, men usually tend to be intimidated, very unfortunately. And by the time when they complete their education, they get old, and and the men who are also as successful would tend to find a woman of younger age, and it's just a very unfair situation in my opinion. I feel that if I choose to not to go to medical school in the future, I would probably regret it one day. Yeah, but I would always have this mental complex that I am not a doctor, and as long as I don't go to medical school, I will always be below the doctors as long as I'm working in the healthcare field. Uh, and I believe that mental complex will always be there, and it'll always bother me when I get old. But if I do become a doctor, there's another set of mental problems that I would feel like other people are creating families, they're enjoying their time with their families and their children. I would have another new kind of mental problems. The type of problem wouldn't probably be in the career, but well, in the career there would also be a lot of problems because with the with the change in the healthcare, doctors sometimes they're not always happy. A lot of times their time is spent on charting, and they sometimes have to deal with the problem they don't want to see, and they have to care sometimes about patient satisfaction score to get reimbursed from the Medicare. Um, and the amount of tax that they pay is ridiculous in my opinion. I do agree that they should pay taxes, but to pay so much taxes after going through this hell of a journey is perhaps too much if you think about there are people there out there that are simply doing nothing as sitting on their couch smoking marijuana and just eating your taxpayer dollars. I realize that there is no perfect career and there is no perfect choice, and no matter what you choose, there are always up and downs in your life, and I realize that. But I'm really at a dilemma here to decide if I should continue to go down the path of medical school, or should I get a master's in nursing, whether it's NP, CRNA, or something else, or perhaps get a PhD in, I like organic chemistry, physics engineer. That's another different area of study. I have been thinking about this for a long time, and I realize perhaps a lot of people, while they're in their medical school, they also have the thought of dropping out of medical school, or quitting medical school. I believe most of the people end up just go along with it and just go down the path. The fact is that the profession with the highest suicide rate currently is physicians. So, are they actually happy when they make through all that hell to be the attending doctor and be above everyone else in society and making all that money? Are they actually happy after all? So, maybe I'm thinking too much, but you guys can leave a comment below and tell me what you think about this issue.